One of the most powerful mental shifts you can make in life is realizing that not everything is your responsibility, and that's not a weakness, it's wisdom. This simple but profound idea lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most respected Stoic teachers, opens his Enchiridion with this exact insight: some things are up to us, and some are not. But what does that really mean? It means that your thoughts, beliefs, decisions, values, and actions are fully within your control. You govern how you respond, how you speak, how you behave. No one can force you to think a certain thought or believe a certain idea without your consent. This is your domain. This is where your true power lies. On the other hand, there's everything else: other people's opinions, the weather, the economy, your past, your reputation, the outcome of your efforts, and even your body too. A large extent, you can influence some of these things, but you don't control them. You can give your best in a job interview, but you don't control whether they hire you. You can speak with kindness, but you can't control if others respect you. You can eat healthily and exercise, but you don't control whether you fall ill. Trying to control what isn't yours leads to stress, frustration, and emotional exhaustion. That's why so many people feel overwhelmed, not because life is inherently unbearable, but because they're constantly grasping for things they have no real control over. This is where Stoic peace begins, not by avoiding hardship, but by learning where to place your energy. The Stoic asks in every situation, is this within my control? If yes, then they act with full effort and integrity. If not, they release it without resentment. This is not passivity, it's intelligent effort. It's aligning your energy with what can actually be changed. But imagine how much lighter your life would feel if you stopped trying to control how others think of you. Imagine how many arguments you could avoid if you accepted that not everyone will agree with you. Picture the calm of focusing solely on your own choices, not on the endless unpredictability of life. This principle doesn't just help you survive difficult situations, it helps you meet them with clarity, strength, and dignity. When you live this truth deeply, you become unshakable. You stop panicking about what others are doing. You stop resisting reality. You start owning your reactions, your mindset, your behavior. And that's where real power begins, not in trying to control the world, but in mastering yourself. Train your judgments. It is not events that disturb us, but our judgment about them. Epictetus, how much of your stress, frustration, or anxiety comes from events themselves, and how much comes from what you tell yourself about those events? According to the Stoics, especially Epictetus, the answer is clear. It's not the event that causes your suffering, it's your judgment of the event. This single insight holds the key to emotional freedom. Let's say someone cuts you off in traffic. The action is external, it happened, but your emotional reaction, anger or irritation, maybe shouting, is not caused by the event itself. It's caused by your judgment. This person is disrespectful. How dare they? They're putting me in danger, etc. These are mental interpretations, not facts. In other words, events are neutral, they simply are. It's the meaning you assign to them that makes them good, bad, offensive, or unbearable. The Stoic discipline, then, is to train your mind to pause before judging, especially when emotions flare. You learn to put a space between stimulus and response. Instead of reacting automatically, you reflect: is this truly bad or just unpleasant? Am I seeing this clearly or through a cloud of assumptions? Would a wise person be disturbed by this? With practice, this gap between perception and response grows. You begin to catch yourself before you spiral. You stop letting your judgments drag you around emotionally. You begin to choose your response rather than being hijacked by it. For example, a rude comment becomes an opportunity to practice patience. A setback becomes a challenge, not a catastrophe. A slow line at the store becomes a moment to breathe, not a source of rage. When you train your judgments, you take back power over your emotional world. You're no longer at the mercy of random events or other people's behavior. You decide how to see things and thus, how to feel about them. This doesn't mean you lie to yourself or sugarcoat everything. Stoicism isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about seeing clearly, objectively, so you can respond wisely. Often the clearest view is the calmest one. In modern life, we are constantly bombarded by opinions, expectations, and emotional triggers. Social media, news cycles, traffic, deadlines all invite judgment. But the Stoic stands apart, trained to pause and ask, is this really as bad as it seems? Epictetus said, when something happens, the only thing in your power is your attitude toward it. That attitude is shaped by judgment, and your judgment is yours to train. So the next time something disturbs you, stop and ask, Is it the event that's upsetting me, or is it what I'm telling myself about it? The answer may surprise you and set you free. Choose voluntary discomfort. If you would not have a man flinch when the crisis comes, train him before it comes. Seneca. In our modern world, comfort is everywhere. We have climate, homes, food delivered to our doors, entertainment on demand, and the ability to avoid almost any form of inconvenience. And yet, many of us are more anxious, more emotionally fragile, and more afraid of discomfort than ever. The Stoics saw this coming centuries ago. Seneca, a Roman philosopher and advisor to Emperor Nero, taught that if we want to stay strong in the face of adversity, we must train ourselves before adversity arrives. His advice: don't just wait for life to challenge, you challenge yourself deliberately. This is the practice of voluntary discomfort. It's the art of choosing to go without, of intentionally stepping outside your comfort zone, not to punish yourself, but to build strength. It's not about masochism, it's about preparation and perspective. Here are some practical examples. Sleep on the floor once in a while, instead of your bed. Eat a very simple or plain meal, even when you could afford something lavish. Take cold showers instead of warm ones. Wear simple or worn-out clothes on days when you'd rather look sharp. Fast for a day, even if food is available. Each time you do this, you're teaching your mind a few crucial things. I can endure this. You learn that discomfort doesn't break you. You survive, you adapt. You discover that many of the things you thought you needed are simply preferences, not necessities. This isn't so bad. Often the idea of discomfort is worse than the reality. By facing it voluntarily, you rob it of its power. The cold shower is unpleasant for 30 seconds, but it's not the end of the world. I don't fear loss. So much of our anxiety comes from fearing that we might lose something: status, comfort, income, health. Voluntary discomfort is a kind of rehearsal for loss. It inoculates you against the fear you've already practiced doing without, so you're less afraid when something is actually taken from you. Seneca called this poverty training. He wrote, "Set aside a number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, is this the condition I feared?" By facing what you fear on your own terms, you stop fearing it. You don't just become tougher, you become free. The world can take many things from you, it can change in an instant. But if you've trained your mind and body to embrace hardship even briefly, you'll meet misfortune not with panic, but with poise. So choose discomfort now and then, not because you must, but because you're preparing yourself to never flinch when life truly tests you. Use negative visualization, premeditatio malorum, rehearse them in your mind. Exile, torture, war, shipwreck. Seneca: imagine just, for a moment, losing everything you take for granted: your job, your health, your home, even the people closest to you. It's an unsettling thought, isn't it? But for the Stoics, this exercise wasn't morbid. It was empowering. This practice is known as premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of misfortunes. It means to consciously imagine the worst-case scenarios of life before they happen. The goal isn't to live in fear or dwell on negativity. The goal is to mentally prepare yourself, so that when hardship does strike, and it eventually would, not caught off guard. Seneca encouraged this often, writing, "He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand." Let's be clear, this isn't pessimism, this is preparation. Modern life teaches us to stay positive at all times, to focus on the best-case outcome, and to avoid negative thoughts. But that mindset creates fragility. If you only expect good things, bad ones hit twice as hard once in reality, and again in your unprepared mind. The Stoics sees things differently. They regularly visualize adversity, not to attract it, but to diffuse its surprise. They rehearse misfortune as a way of building emotional armor. Here's how it works in practice. If you're financially stable, imagine losing your job or having your income cut in half. Ask yourself, what would I do? What really matters? Could I survive? If you're healthy, imagine receiving bad news from a doctor. How would I respond? How could I maintain composure? If you love someone deeply, imagine a world without them, not to create sadness, but to increase your appreciation now. The benefit is twofold. You become less afraid. When you've already walked through hardship in your mind, it becomes familiar, not terrifying.